Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a brand new essay topic, so let's have a look. Healthcare costs are increasing, and many governments are finding it difficult to balance their healthcare budget. Do you think citizens should be responsible for their health with private health insurance, or should the government provide free healthcare for all? Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Oh, by the way, I'm having a little bit of difficulty talking because I've got this little thing in my mouth. So you might be wondering, okay, what's up? Why is she speaking so slowly compared to her regular speed? And well, that's the reason. So I've got a bit of a thing with my brackets, but that should be better by the next video. Okay, but you might actually even prefer this slower speed, so let me know, because I've noticed that I tend to speak too quickly, and so maybe this is better ultimately. Just let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. And that's okay. So let's see. Okay, so we've got our question right here. And now, as usual, now this is also a discussion essay. These tend to be so popular. I think the last one we did was also a discussion essay. Anyway, we're gonna have our main ideas. So main idea and then supporting ideas. Same old, same old. When you've written as many essays as I have, it's just, I mean, there's nothing challenging about it. So yeah. Right. So two opinions. Do you think people should have to, take care of their own healthcare expenditures, or do you think the government should, pay for people's healthcare? So you also need to think about what you would prefer. And I think that, well, it is the government's duty. So that's going to be my second opinion. And my first opinion is going to be that, yes, people should pay for healthcare themselves. That's the weak opinion, though. That's why I'm writing that first, right? So, um, a private healthcare. Okay. People, the ultimate responsibility or responsibility for one's healthcare. I Primarily with oneself. I don't know why they've underlined healthcare. Now it's gone. Okay. And then, like for example, let's say that I smoke regularly and I drink a lot. And I know that, okay, this could cause liver cirrhosis, it could cause cancer, but I still do it. It's an addiction, so well, obviously. Now, if, when ultimately, well, it's a question of when, not really if. So when I do ultimately get cancer, right, is it fair to burden the taxpayer? Because I chose to be unhealthy. Similarly, if I choose to have a really bad diet, right, I eat like nothing but really sweet stuff, fast food, fried food, and then I end up getting diabetes, and then eventually I don't take care of my diabetes and I end up needing, I don't know what they need, amputations, dialysis, kidney transplants, or something like that. Now, is it fair to expect the government, basically the taxpayer ultimately, because that's where the money comes from, to pay for all that, right? So that is one thing that you could mention right here. So unfair to expect taxpayers to pay choices. And also, people have, I would say, the problem. Of course, there are problems with public health care. It's not perfect. You may have heard of long waiting times. So, private, better service, quick, yeah. And also, what else? Let's see. People should pay for themselves, or they should have the government pay. Okay, so unfair to and I'm gonna write down my ideas here as well. Basic responsibility. That's something they have to improves what was that? Quality of human capital. The people more cares. That's exactly why the government pays for healthcare. Because the less sick you are, right? The later you retire, the later you die, right? That is good for the government because you work more, you pay more taxes. And even if you don't work, you're still gonna buy things. Even if you're just buying bread, you're still paying taxes. It's just indirect taxes then. So it's in the government's best interest to ensure that people are as healthy as they can be and that they live as long as they can, and that they're living but they're also healthy. That's really important. So it's not charity, it's not goodwill. That's their job. I just need one idea each. I'm gonna write down however here so I don't forget. However, uh provisions for healthcare. It would seem that however, provisions for healthcare um, are an essential service. Yeah, of course, it's an essential service. That's the basic job of the government. The basic job of government is to defend its people, so you need an army. It's to build infrastructure, maintain good relationships with other countries, and just generally focus on growth and development. Make people's lives better. That's the job. That's why we elect people. Okay, so I just need one idea each. Unfair responsibility for one's healthcare. More choice as well. And specialized procedures. For example, again, like let's say you want to get LASIK eye surgery. Now that's not necessary. It's just people who don't want to wear spectacles or contact lenses, they would get that done, right? Or if you need something that's not a life or death thing, but that would improve your life, like maybe getting surgery, rhinoplasty, to improve your breathing. Like your breathing is okay, but maybe you have a deviated septum or something like that. Um, or yeah, it could even be aesthetic surgery. Although that one would say maybe that's not really healthcare. Aesthetic cosmetic surgery, that's a different thing entirely. So specialized procedures, or let's say healthcare does include, by the way, subsidies for drugs, medicines. So that might be something to include. Specialized procedures, which are normally, now a specialized procedure could be something like, I read somewhere that there was a child and he or she was suffering from a really rare disease, and there really was no cure for it except for this one pill, but that one pill was just ridiculously expensive or something like that. So they were doing a GoFundMe, and well, that was like crazy expensive. I mean, it was like in the millions or something. So now that kind of thing you cannot expect the government, because it's like, yeah, specialized procedures or rare health issues, right? Because everybody is unique, so you can't expect the government to take care of every single person. Their job is to take care of the majority, right? So, getting a fracture fixed, or like childbirth, things like that, that most people are going to deal with at some point in life. It makes sense to pay for that out of the government budget, right? Oh, my God, I got my 3 ideas. And here, essential service. Um, I mean, I'm being honest, responsibility, health, they need to ensure. I think also ultimately people would riot. Um, I mean, okay, I would say that, it tends to be expensive, you know, private healthcare. So you cannot expect that, out of, because people have so many demands on their income. I mean, on their salary, income, whatever that may be. I mean, you have to pay for your rent or your mortgage, you have to pay for food, clothing, and depending on where you live, school, college, you got a vehicle, maybe you have to pay for that. And so, like, and then expecting people to also pay for all their own healthcare, then what are you doing? What's your job? You know? So some people can afford it, and in some places it may not be so expensive either. But just, overall, generally, it can be expensive, and people already have a lot to pay for. This way, they'll just end up broke if they have to pay for everything. And because health is just one of those things you cannot predict, right? Today you're happy, tomorrow you might get a cancer diagnosis. Yeah. Um, or maybe like, that could also, well, no, let's write our introduction first. Okay. So I need to write about healthcare. Okay, like I was saying, health is such a um it's precious, of course, but it's also very uncertain, right? So healthcare costs is a theme here. Maybe I can just write about healthcare in general. Let me see. Costs, taking care of one's health, or healthcare is a basic human need. Um, that's what I would say. I mean, obviously it is, right? Healthcare is a basic human need that no person can really go without, whether it's a quick, which is why research and investments into healthcare are so common and important. Although although it might uh, although it might seem fair for people to um, pay for their own way, their own healthcare needs, the government has a duty to its citizens to take care of their health, to take responsibility. Oh, I've already written. Oh. Okay. Take over healthcare. There's my opinion. Then I've got my first sentence. I'm gonna take that, put it over here. Um. Uh. Major concern is the fact that many diseases and illnesses are largely self-propagated, or largely the result of poor choices, such as smoking or eating fried food or eating a bad diet. uh, Major concern is the fact that many diseases and illnesses are largely the result of poor choices, such as smoking or eating a bad diet. um, And so dealing with the eventual consequences of such decisions, uh, yeah, should be the person's responsibility. Should, and so dealing, okay, a major concern is the fact that many diseases and illnesses are largely the result of poor choices. Don't need, and so dealing with the eventual consequences of such decisions should be uh owned by the person who made these. There you go. And instead of, burdening the taxpayer. If you don't want to use the word taxpayer, another really nice word is exchequer. This is a very academic term, but a nice term nonetheless. Okay. Then, private, on the topic of private health. Ooh, hold. Specialized. Um, uh, Similarly, some concerns can be quite rare or uncommon, such as, let's say, okay, I need examples. Similarly, some health concerns can be quite rare or uncommon, requiring cutting edge procedures or drugs. Okay. Yep. They're uncommon, such as, oh, now, you got like, there's brain prime, like when you eat some kind of meat and then you get this, but I don't know what it's called, so, okay, let me think of a rare disease now. I'll have to think about this. I think, there's some kind of blood cancers. What's it called? Okay, let me think. There's sickle cell, I think it's called sickle cell anemia or something like that. Or maybe I don't need to give an example. That's fine. Like, you cannot realistically expect everyone to have knowledge of this, so maybe, okay, it was seen responsibility, blah, blah, blah. Similarly, some health concerns can be quite rare or uncommon, requiring cutting-edge procedures or drugs, which are usually very expensive, since the demand for such is not high. Health concerns can be rare or uncommon, requiring cutting-edge procedures or drugs, which are very expensive, since the demand for these is not high. Expecting the government to pay for, pay for these, let's see, appropriate, unfair. Some concerns can be rare or uncommon, which is not quite high. Due to the rarity, the aforementioned rarity. So it's like a cycle, isn't it? Because let's say you've got this magic drug that can cure this problem, but it's super expensive, right? Why is it expensive? Because the illness is just not common, so it doesn't make sense for the producer to mass produce it, because who's gonna buy it anyway? When something is mass produced, it is cheaper because there's this whole economic theory behind it, so I won't bore you with that, but that's basically it. So, not high due to the aforementioned rarity. Offs. I've already used the word illness. I don't need it over here, so okay. And then, okay. Specialized procedures. So I took number 3 first. Now I'm going to talk about private service. I've used a major concern. Similarly, it's not really similar, is it? No, not really. Uncommon, right? Okay, and then private. Another point of no. Another concern? No. Oh, hold on. Another point of concern. This fits. Another point of concern. There we go. Okay. We need. Okay. So similarly, likewise, but furthermore, I don't want to use Okay. Let me think of something good. I don't want to use hands. No, not those. Not those. You know, again, I made this observation last time, the previous video, and I'm starting to see that I find that I need more time to work on transition, right? Because, well, I could just slap on a lasso, like I said, but then, well, that's not very impressive, even though it makes perfect sense. But yeah, concern some health, blah blah. Okay, so I've got a major concern. Oh no, I've got this. Oh, it's repetitive. I don't like it. Okay, okay. Let me think of another term instead. Another point. Oh, not contempt. No, what is it? Contention. Yes, another point of contention, not concern. Uh, and what else? Okay, better service. Right. Okay. Um. Additionally is a possibility, but it's a very boring possibility, so I don't want to use that. Yikes, I don't like that at all. Let's use something else instead. Maybe something like, let's say, to add to that. To add to that is much better instead of additionally, because it's ideally, like if you want to move from a 6, let's say you want to move from a 6 to a 7 for coherence, one thing I could suggest is avoid the single word transitions, like firstly, comma, similarly, comma, etc. So you can avoid those. This is just a very, very, very small trick, if you want to call it that. But yeah, that helps because the ones they're kind of lazy. So one has to consider. Um, okay, it is. Let me think. It is not just the costs. Another, well, maybe here I can write down. Not only are some diseases self-imposed, but another thing to note, yeah, not only are some self-imposed, but another point to note, health concerns can be quite rare. There we go. It is also pertinent to private healthcare is often much, it's more customer oriented. It's often much quicker and one service. Oops, what's that be? With okay, little to no wait times. Wait times. But this comes at a cost. Right? Let me read that sentence. It's also pertinent to realize that private healthcare is often much quicker and one receives better service with little to no wait times, but this obviously comes at a cost. Being said, in many cases, well, I don't need that. It comes at a cost. Cost to the customer, of course. There, you're a customer. Better service, wait times. There we go. And finally, thus, if people pay for their own healthcare, yeah, if people, um, people paid for their health needs. Hmm. Or maybe I can just write down who choose to budget for. People could choose to budget for their own healthcare needs within, from your own income. So needs from their own income. Then I've got the next one, however, are an essential service. This is basic. Let me just switch to page less. There we go. Okay, now much better. This looks quite large. Okay, anyway, that's okay. Right, so I've got my ideas over here. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Now, basic responsibility of the government. However, provisions for healthcare are an essential service. Um, um, mhm. One cannot forget, I would say. Okay, I want to think of something else. The transitions are always a point where I find myself taking a lot of time. Still, though, like even with taking time, it still ends up in like 25, 30, 40 minutes or so. So it doesn't take much time. You'll notice that actually writing the content, writing the sentences, it barely takes any time. But thinking, ooh, what would be the most impressive way? Because of course you can say, something like, let's say, furthermore, or, likewise, whatever. You can slap that on, but wouldn't be the most impressive. So it's good to take your time and think over it. Of course, I mean, for students is a lot easier too, because I have entire lists of transitions depending on what kind of content you have, ideas you have. But here we're doing it on the fly, and we try to, with each essay that I write, I try to have variety, because that's ultimately what I want to show you. So, basic responsibility improves expensive. Um, it makes little to no sense, but I don't want to write that. It's a bit too direct. So, when considering the reasons why people are made to pay taxes, pay taxes, when considering why people are made to pay taxes in the first place, when considering why people are made to pay in the first place, one made to pay taxes, one of the first things that come to mind is free or subsidized healthcare, since this is something every human being needs in their life. So, it's just underlining because of the language. S is usually British spelling. Z is usually American spelling. Both are fine. You can use whichever you want. Concerning why people are made to pay taxes, one of the first things to come to mind is free or subsidized healthcare, amongst others, since this is something every human being needs in their life, making it the government's responsibility to, tend to their citizens' needs, right? And then it is also unfair to expect people, or maybe, to add to that, or on a similar note, it makes sense for the government to pay for healthcare because, on a similar note, government investment in healthcare is not born out of, charity or goodwill. It is, in fact, in their in the country's best interest to have a healthy, right, healthy workforce that retires later and lives longer so that it can pay taxes longer and, in effect, be useful to the economy. It is, in fact, the country's best interests to have a healthy workforce that is not sick often, retires later, and lives longer so that it can pay taxes longer. And in fact, I've used it because of the noun workforce, right? Keeping this in mind, it now seems ridiculous. Like people who pay for the privilege of being able to be used, yeah, in service of their economy. Keeping this in mind, it now seems ridiculous to expect people to pay for the privilege of being able to be used in service of the economy and nation by way of paying for their own health care. Given that there exists, or given that many burdens already exist, or quite simply, given that people already have a lot to pay for, rents or mortgages, food, clothing. What else? You've got food, you've got clothing, you've got, utilities. And the list before in life, whether that rent to a mortgage, food, clothing, or utility. And the list goes on. It is only reasonable for parents to take on health expenditures or healthcare costs. And finally, conclusion, it is that I've already used, okay, despite on the surface, right, it seems like people can pay for healthcare, or that despite the illusion, not really an illusion, despite it seeming like a somewhat reasonable idea to expect people to to pay for their I've already used the term healthcare, and I want to use something else. So I need to think of something. Wellness? Yeah. But that's not really the same thing. Yeah, medical needs maybe. Yeah, that makes sense. So, despite it seeming like a somewhat reasonable idea to accept the medical needs, the responsibility should ultimately fall with the government. Or you could say, sure, that people healthy and receive the help they need. There we go. What's wrong over here? Responsibility. An I is missing. There we go. Responsibility from the government to ensure people get healthy. If they, let's say, if they decide, or if the government decides to, abdicate their, or, shirk, yeah. So, hush. Let me just think of another term. If their responsibilities, it could very well lead to distrust and chaos in the country. Because, I mean, people are going to be mad, they're going angry. So that's the whole thing. It's 453, a little bit bigger compared to last time for sure. And here is the introduction. You can pause your screen, you can read that. And then we've got paragraph 1 over here. You can pause your screen and read it. Then we've got paragraph 2 right here. And we've got our conclusion right there as well. So that was that. This is, again, another discussion essay just like last time. Hopefully next time we'll have a different type. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. But before you leave, if you liked the video, just leave a like. And in case you know anyone who's preparing for the exam, you can also recommend our channel to them. We have a lot of videos for writing, for essays, also for letters. And of course, there's lots of speaking tests that we do as well. So don't forget to check out that playlist. I think it's linked somewhere down below. And in case you have any feedback, comments, suggestions, whatever it is, just leave it down there and I'll respond to you. Until then, bye-bye.